Sticking with the topic of relationships, like we touched on in the last episode, today we're going to talk about something that has become increasingly relevant to the millennial and Gen Z generations, which is the, let's say, the opinion, perhaps the fact that committed relationships, marriage, they have lost their value and their desirability in modern times. And I think there are a number of reasons for that, and we're going to look at a few of those in just a minute. But the point of today's episode, much like the point of the majority of these episodes, is just to give you something to think about. Now, you know I'm not one to waste time, my friends, so we're going to get right into this episode. I've got 3 clips lined up that will take you on a mental journey, or at least put you through a mental exercise, a thought exercise, if you will. All right? So let's go ahead and roll this first clip.
Man, the world speeded up. Don't nobody have time to cultivate nothing no more or learn a skill that they don't already have. Like, the world is in a big-ass hurry, man. Everything is over with. Just like you don't see shops that fix no electronics no more. You get what I'm saying? It used to be people who used to be able to make a good living fixing blenders and vacuum cleaners and the bulbs in the back of TVs and shit. It's cheaper to buy some new shit than it is to fix some broke shit.
Right.
And it's the same with people. Like, why would you sit there and go through these ups and downs and trials and tribulations with a person, and you could just easily pick up your phone and find somebody else who been liking every picture, who done left hearts under all your comments. These people got options now. Ain't no need in working shit out. If you don't work out the first time, hey, we can get on social media and find a new you. Right quick, and that's the mindset. Everybody feel like those numbers that say followers, like those are your options. And it's just not true. You don't know who these people are offline.
All right, my friends. Now, the man you just heard was the American comedian Karius Miller. That's Karius with a K. Karious Miller. And he's talking about something that, as I said, has become increasingly relevant to our generations. And I'm sure it's been talked about countless times over the past 5 to 10 years. So it's not like this is anything particularly new. But again, I've got 3 clips lined up. This is just phase 1 of the episode, so stick with your boy. Now, I'll also say, if you had a hard time understanding everything he was saying, it could be because the audio, the quality isn't great. It's another one of those clips where they put that annoying music in the background. Why? I don't fucking know, but that's just the way it is. But also, Karius Miller was speaking what I often refer to as Ebonics. You probably heard the term Black English. You might have heard the term African American Vernacular English. It's all the same thing. I prefer the term Ebonics. But anyway, it's a dialect of American English that is understood by many people, but not spoken by all people, and not even all Black people. And so I say that to reassure you that if you didn't understand everything, you shouldn't feel too bad. And I would also say, check out the vocabulary guide or the script for this episode. If you're subscribed on Patreon, I've taken the time to not only explain all the vocabulary from that clip, but also the grammar observations. So you can see the difference between standard American English and Black American English. And you can see the different patterns in our speech and understand truly what he's saying and how he's saying it. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the grammar of his speech because it would take quite a bit of time. I'm going to focus on the vocabulary and then keep on moving with the episode because we got a lot to get through, my friends. All right, so check out that vocabulary guide or that script on Patreon if you want explanations not only of the vocabulary, but the grammar observations. All right, my friends. So as always, I'm going to go back to the beginning of this clip and just explain a few things to make sure you're really getting the idea of what he's saying, and then we can talk about it. All right, my friend? So let's do it.
Man, the world speeded up. Don't nobody have time to cultivate nothing no more or learn a skill that they don't already have.
Okay, so he says, man, the world done speeded up. And what he's saying is the world has sped up. Standard American English, that's the way we would say it. Don't nobody have time to cultivate nothing no more. And again, I'm not going to spend too much time on the grammar, but that you might have noticed is like a triple negative. Don't nobody have time to cultivate nothing no more. And really, a standard way of saying that is nobody has time to cultivate anything anymore. And what he's referring to is life skills, whether it's learning how to program computers or fix electronics or whatever it may be. People don't, they think they don't have time to invest in skills or new trades or anything. They don't have time to learn anything that they don't already know. Everyone is just in a big ass hurry, which is actually what he says. Let me play that real quick.
Learn a skill that they don't already have. Like, the world is in a big ass hurry, man. Everything is over with.
He says the world is in a big ass hurry. Everything is over with. Now, when he says in a big ass hurry, that's like, again, it's Ebonics. It doesn't really make literal sense to be in a big ass hurry. It doesn't make literal sense. So it's kind of hard to explain why he says it that way. It's just a way of speaking in Black English, in a big ass hurry. But he's just emphasizing the fact that people are in a hurry. They're in a big hurry. They're very much so, or they're very much in a hurry. Am I making sense to you? So don't get too focused on that way of speaking or like that choice of words. You can just understand he's emphasizing the fact that everyone's in a hurry, but very much so. And he says everything is over with. And what he means when he says that is it's speaking in a very general, almost figurative sense. It's done. Like, life is over. The world is over. Society is over. Like, all of the stuff that we knew from the past is over. And he goes into detail on that. He's about to talk about how you don't really see people fixing electronics anymore. You don't see people fixing old devices like blenders and TVs and vacuums. Like, all of that is over with. So when somebody says it's over with, it means completely done, completely finished. Like, there's no going back to whatever I just mentioned. You see what I'm saying? So let me play that real quick.
Don't already have. Like, the world is in a big ass hurry, man. Everything is over with. Just like you don't see shops that fix no electronics no more. You get what I'm saying? It used to be people who used to be able to make a good living fixing blenders and vacuum cleaners and the bulbs in the back of TVs and shit.
Right. So he said there used to be people. He said it used to be people. Standard American English, you would say there used to be people that would make a good living, make good money, be able to support themselves and their families just fixing blenders, vacuum cleaners, the bulbs in the back of TVs and shit. Like, you don't really see that anymore. All of that is over with. It's completely done. It's finished. And just to give you another example, like, I might say people used to get married at 18. People used to get married at 22, 24, and they'd have 5 or 6 kids, and the husband would work and the mom would stay home and raise the family and make sure the house is taken care of. All of that is over with. All that shit is over with. And what I mean when I say that is that lifestyle, that way of life is done, doesn't exist anymore. It's finished. You see what I'm saying? So it's just another way of saying that, a much less formal way of expressing that idea. All right, let's continue.
Vacuum cleaners and the bulbs in the back of TVs and shit. It's cheaper to buy some new shit than it is to fix some broke shit. Right. And it's the same with people. Like, why would you sit there and...
Let me stop there real quick. He said, it's cheaper to buy some new shit than it is to fix some broke shit. Again, this is a feature of Ebonics. Like, in standard American English, you would say it's cheaper to buy some new shit than it is to fix some broken shit. So that might have confused you. Like, why did he say broken, not broken? But again, it's just, he's not speaking standard American English, but I'm sure you understand the idea of what he's trying to say. It's just a small detail there. All right, let me go back and we'll continue.
Some new shit than it is to fix some broke shit. Right. And it's the same with people. Like, why would you sit there and go through these ups and downs and trials and tribulations with a person, and you could just easily pick up your phone and find somebody else who been liking every picture, who done left hearts under all your comments.
Okay, so now he's trying to illustrate or create this metaphor for you. Because he starts by saying, well, people used to make a living fixing blenders and vacuum cleaners and all electronics and all that stuff. But that shit is over with. People don't have time to learn anything they don't already know. They don't have time to learn new skills. And it's the same thing with people. Like, why would you sit there and go through these ups and downs I don't know if you guys say this in your language. You've probably heard it on this podcast many times, but just in case you haven't, when somebody says ups and downs, especially talking about life or a relationship or some kind of challenge, some kind of journey that you're on, it just talks about the good times and the bad times, the successes and the failures, the struggles and the achievements. You know, sometimes you're up and everything's good and positive and bright and happy and all of that. And then sometimes you're down, you're very low, you're sad, you're defeated, you're struggling. You know what I mean? So in life, you have ups and downs, good times and bad times. So he says, why would you sit there and go through these ups and downs and trials and tribulations when you could easily pick up your phone and get somebody else? And now trials and tribulations is another way of saying ups and downs. If you think about it, it's like something that you'll hear from time to time when people want to refer to life's challenges, life struggles, trials and tribulations, moments in life where you're being tested or challenged. It's something in life that challenges your patience, your endurance, your resolve, your resilience. You know what I mean? Why would you sit there and stay committed to one person and deal with the challenges and difficulties of a committed relationship when you could just pick up your phone and get with somebody new, that person who's been liking all your pictures on Instagram, leaving all the hearts in the comment section, shooting you DMs? Why would you sit here and deal with all the negative that comes with a relationship when you could just get a new one if this one isn't working right now? That's the idea that he's trying to convey. So let me go back a few seconds. I'll play that again and we'll listen to the last part of this clip.
These ups and downs, and like, why would you sit there and go through these ups and downs and trials and tribulations with a person, and you could just easily pick up your phone and find somebody else who been liking every picture, who done left hearts under all your comments? These people got options now. Ain't no need in working shit out. If you don't work.
Okay, he says people got options now. Ain't no need in working shit out. That is beautiful Black English right there. When he says ain't no need, oftentimes when you hear one of us say ain't no, and then whatever comes after that, it's another way of saying there is no. So when he says ain't no need, he's saying there is no need in working shit out. Now, to work something out just means to resolve something, typically an issue or a problem that you're facing. So if you have a problem in your relationship, you and your girl are arguing about something constantly, or you guys are disagreeing about something, to work it out basically means you guys work together to come to a resolution. You try to resolve the issue so that you can move on in peace. And when he says working shit out, I don't remember what episode number it was, maybe 144, I can't remember, but the episode about shit, if you listen to that episode, then you'll know when he says working shit out, he just means stuff, things. It's almost like a filler word or just a word that describes things in general. So when he says ain't no need in working shit out, he's saying there is no need to work anything out. That's a standard American English, a standard American way of saying that, okay? So let me go back and we'll finish out here.
Your phone and find somebody else who been liking every picture, who done left hearts under all your comments. These people got options now. Ain't no need in working shit out. If you don't work out the first time, hey, we can get on social media and find a new you right quick. And that's the mindset. Everybody feel like those numbers that say followers, like those are your options. And it's just not true. You don't know who these people are offline.
All right, my friends, once again, that was Carius Miller, the American comedian. You've probably seen him on Wild and Out. He's a very popular character on that show. I shouldn't say character, feature, I don't know. Very popular member of the cast, let's put it that way. And so you can go ahead and check him out on YouTube or TikTok. I'm sure he's all over the internet. But anyway, again, he's talking about an increasingly relevant, I don't know if I would call it problem or aspect of modern life, increasingly relevant to Gen Z, to millennials, I guess Gen Alpha at some point in the future, which is that we don't have time to invest in anything anymore, or at least that's the way we feel, whether it's real life skills or professional experience, learning a new trade like software engineering or plumbing or cosmetics or whatever you call it, like if you're doing hair and nails and stuff like that, or you want to start a business, or just any skill that you can use to make a career for yourself, to sustain yourself, to make money in life. We just feel like we don't have time to do that anymore. And even if you choose something, like the world is moving so fast that you might dedicate 3-4 years of your life trying to learn this skill, and then something changes and that skill becomes obsolete. Now, obviously, that's a very dramatic scenario. That's not happening every day, but it is happening, right? We've already seen that over the past 5 to 7 years. And then he goes on to say, it's not just like that with work and professional life. It's like that with relationships and dating and marriage and shit. People just feel like, why invest all this time and energy into something? And there's going to be ups and downs and trials and tribulations and all this negativity and stress and the arguments and the betrayal and whatever else might come with it, when I could just stay casual. And whenever this thing stops working, I just drop that and go get somebody new. Like, that's the mentality now. Is I don't have to stay with this person and work shit out. I don't have to make it work. I can just get on Instagram and find somebody new. I have 17,000 followers, 100,000 followers. Even if it's 5,000 followers, it's still a lot of fucking people. Surely one of these people can fill the void that has been left by my previous partner. You know, that's the thinking for a lot of people. And I think it's something, of course, we talked about it a lot over the past few years, but it's something that I think is good to reconsider. The shift in thinking from long-term investment to short-term convenience, both in life and in relationships. Because the dating apps, the social media, especially Instagram, but many other social media apps as well, have trained us to think that we really do just have endless options. Tinder, Instagram specifically, is just like you're swiping and scrolling all goddamn day. You see all these people and you think, well, look at all these options. Look at all these people that I didn't have access to before we had the internet. Before, it was just people in your neighborhood or your city or at work or at your university, maybe public transport or a party or just crossing them in the street, something like that. That's where you met most people. But now you can get online and shit. You feel like the world is in the palm of your hands. And on some level it is, but it's, of course, it's not. It's just not. And so that added layer of convenience, I think, has trained most of us to believe that, well, if this shit breaks, I'll just go get a new one. If my fan breaks, I'll get on Amazon and buy a new one. It'll be here in 2 days. You know what I mean? Just run to the store and get a new light bulb. Run to the store, get another TV. Run to Apple and get another phone or whatever it may be. And it's the same with relationships. Like, the idea that relationships should be easy and convenient is something that has been adopted by a lot of us in the past 10 to 15 years. We shouldn't have to work shit out. I shouldn't have to invest time and energy and actually try to make something work. Learn who this person is, be honest with this person, you know, and try to build something with this person. It's like, nah, if from the minute they walk into my life, everything isn't perfect, fuck them. I'll just go find another one. I have endless options. There's millions of people out there. I got 100,000 followers on Instagram, bitch. I don't need you. You know how many fucking DMs I get a day, bitch? You better stop fucking with me. You know, it's just what it is. It's all about short term. It's all about the convenience. All about what's working for me right now. I think we've just lost sight of the fact that life is long, bro. I mean, it's short, but it's long. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 years. That's a long time, bro. So to think that you can just live life doing and engaging with whatever's convenient right now, I just don't know if that's a good long-term strategy. Especially when we're talking about relationships. Like, relationships take time. We talked about that before. It takes time to develop a healthy relationship with somebody. Because nobody's perfect. And even if y'all are highly compatible, it's not like it's going to be fucking peaches and flowers and rainbows every goddamn day. You're going to disagree. You're going to have arguments. You're going to frustrate the fuck out of each other. Like, that is normal. You're going to have ups and downs, good times and bad times. That is normal. And I think now it's just like, at the first sight or hint of a bad time, it's like, nah, this ain't it. I need to go find somebody who accepts me exactly the way I am, because I'm the prize. I'm perfect. I heard on Instagram this fucking chick said, fucking stupid shit. I don't think it's wise, bro. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's wise. Because this way of thinking, to put it into perspective, you know who else thinks about short-term convenience instead of long-term investment? Drug addicts. They're only thinking about the next hit, bro, the next drink, the next shot of heroin, the next fucking joint, the next fucking crack rock, the next line of coke. That's all they're thinking about. They're not thinking about long-term consequences here. I will do whatever it takes to make sure my short-term needs are satisfied. And I don't think I have to explain to you what that does to a person's life. So it's the same mentality if we're talking about life in general or we're talking about relationships. It's the exact same thing. And I'll just leave it at that. I feel like that puts it into perspective, But another interesting thing about this, I guess it's related, it's kind of connected to what he's talking about, is this idea of perceived abundance. The idea that endless followers on Instagram or Twitter or TikTok or whatever means you have endless options in terms of dating or sexual partners, when it's just not true. It's not true. And it also, like, you start to believe there's always something better. I think that is really detrimental to relationships, isn't it? Because when I think about my parents, especially my grandparents, who got married at like 18, bro, they were together until my grandmother passed, which was like 60 years or some crazy shit, bro. It's like that level of commitment. It's impossible, I think, if you're always thinking about the fact that there might be better options out there. How are you ever going to be content with something over the long term if you're constantly thinking, yeah, but I could have something better, And if you're thinking there's always something better, why would you ever make a decision? You would never choose one. If you really believe there's always something better, which theoretically there is. But if you and your heart can't be satisfied until you get the absolute best, you're never going to choose anyone, period. And if you do choose them, you're only choosing them for the now, for the short term. You're just using them like toys, like objects to keep you entertained until you find that next best thing. Which is, I don't know, man. It's not, again, not a good long-term strategy. And it's also just not true. Like, the idea that there's always something better implies that sooner or later you're going to get to one that's perfect, and you're just not. You're just not. Whether it's a movie or Instagram or YouTube, like, you guys ever seen those weird fucking couples that like vlog their lives on YouTube? Look how happy we are and how amazing our life is. Like, bro, their relationships are full of problems. Nobody happy does shit like that. So you see shit like that online and you think, well, their life's perfect and they're perfectly happy and everything's going great. I need that. It's like, no, sweetheart, that doesn't exist. You need to go talk to some old people that have been together 40, 50, 60 years and ask them what it's really like to be dedicated to somebody for that long and what it actually takes, what the real experience is like on a day-to-day. It really puts things into perspective, bro. And I just think that, again, with all of this stuff that we're talking about, the idea that you should try to make it work over the long term just doesn't really exist for most people anymore. I could be wrong about that. I'm just talking about in modern popular culture. Like, we're not really as resilient as our parents and grandparents were when it comes to making things work. Like I said, if it's not working now, let's just throw it away and move on to something new. When oftentimes, as I said, relationships are hard work. You do have to invest time and energy. You do have to make sacrifices and compromises. And you're not always going to get what you want. It's not always going to go your way. And sometimes that's for the best. You shouldn't always get what you want. Things shouldn't always go your way. You're not a fucking child. You know what I mean? Even children have to learn that they don't always get what they want and things don't go their way. Otherwise, they grow up to be spoiled little pieces of shit. So why should you get everything you want and things always go your way in a relationship with another adult? It just doesn't work that way. Why should life be this fucking romantic, like fantasy movie where everything just works all the time? It doesn't make sense. You wouldn't even want that, to be honest. You wouldn't even want that. So anyway, I think that I'm sure I shouldn't say it that way. I like to believe many of you can identify with the sentiment of this video. But I want you to consider a different aspect of our reality, because it's true that most of us can appreciate the convenience of modern life, and the internet has opened a lot of doors that would otherwise be closed to us. The internet has given us YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and Reddit and blogs and all these things. Like, it's opened so many doors for us in terms of life, business, relationships, friendship, language learning, you know what I mean? But I also think we might be mistaken to think that life is always going to be this way. Because as the world continues to spin and society continues to evolve or devolve, depending on how you look at it, we humans also continue to pass from one stage of life to another. And more often than not, the things we value tend to change as we progress through life. I mean, who's to say that a life of convenience and perceived abundance is what we'll want at the age of 40 or 50 or 60 or 75? Who's to say those things will even be available to us at those ages? So I just think it could be wise to put things in perspective and consider the reality of the average human living in society, regardless of one's economic status, social class, nationality, ethnicity, or gender. So I'm going to play another clip that's from a class that was given by Dr. Jordan B. Peterson back when he was still teaching at university. And he was in the middle of a discussion with his students about the probability of finding true love and why we should reconsider this idea that there are endless options out there. So let me set up that clip and I'll play it for you now.
How many chances do you think you'll have in your life for like a serious, high quality, intimate relationship? What do you guys think? How many chances are you going to have for that?
3 to 4.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I would say you probably top out at about 5. Okay.
2 down, 3 to go.
So, okay, so, that's not that many chances. Plus, you get old quick. By the time you're 45, you're not going to have a family. And well, you can do that sometimes if you're male. If you're female, maybe, but it gets pretty rough. And you're looking probably at that point at a fair bit of in vitro and that sort of interaction. It's tough, it's hard on people. So, not only do you not have that many chances, you don't have that much time. So you got to get it right. So if you get it wrong, it costs you. Like maybe it'll cost you 5 years. 5 years is a long time. So, and 3 5-year costs is like, you've lost things there that you can't replace. Okay, so that's one part of it is, you don't have that many chances, and it's costly to burn up the time. Don't make the kind of mistakes that get you into such a stupid relationship to begin with. Okay, because that's the answer to that question. And the way you do that is by trying not to delude yourself any more than is absolutely necessary. And that means when you're in the damn relationship, tell the person the truth and try to figure out what the truth is for you. And don't put up with any nonsense and stand up for yourself. And also aim towards the good. If you do all those things, then your relationship is probably going to work. If you're trying to do all those things, really, and you have a partner that will not do that, then leave.
All right, my friends. So again, that's Dr. Jordan B. Peterson giving I wouldn't call it a lecture. He was having a discussion with his students back when he was teaching at university. And he starts by asking them, how many chances do you think you'll have in your life for a serious, high quality, intimate relationship? Like, what do you think? How many chances are you actually going to have? And so the students collectively say, I don't know, maybe 3, about 4, or something like that. And he says, yeah, I'd say you top out at about 5. So when he says top out at 5, what he's saying is that's the maximum limit or the peak level. He's saying the most you're probably going to have is 5 chances for a serious, high quality relationship. And so he says, listen, 5, that's not a lot of chances, man. Over the course of what? The average lifespan is anywhere between 60 and 80 years, depending on the country. That's not a lot of chances for that number of years. And plus, you get old quick. You age very quick. Time's passing faster and faster, especially in today's society, right? So by the time you're 45, you don't have a family. You don't have a wife or a husband. You have no children. And at that point, you're looking at something like in vitro. Now, I could be wrong about this, but based on my limited research, when he says a bit of in vitro, he's talking about that the medical procedure where, how can I put this in simple English? Like they basically, I think they create a baby. They take an embryo and they create a baby in this artificial environment outside of the womb. Now I don't want to get that wrong. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about, but let's just check that out real quick. In vitro. What is in vitro? In vitro baby. Let me see. Children conceived through in vitro fertilization, a process where eggs are retrieved from the ovaries, fertilized with sperm in a laboratory, and then the resulting embryo is transferred back into the uterus. What the fuck? All right. So anyway, the point is, after a certain point in your life, especially as a woman, like it's going to be very, very difficult to get pregnant naturally. So you're going to need some artificial assistance, if you will. And even that is not guaranteed. That's really the point of what he's saying. And so it's tough, you know, it's difficult because you don't have that many chances and you don't have that much time. So you have to get it right. You have to get it right. And he's talking about your choice in partner. You have to get that right. And most people get it wrong. And when you get it wrong, it costs you. It costs you time, it costs you money, it costs you energy, it costs you psychological damage oftentimes. Like maybe you'll recover, but still you lost things that can't be replaced. Mainly time and psychological and emotional energy. Like you don't want to burn that up. When he says burn the time up or burn the energy up, it just means waste it. Imagine if your time or your energy or your love was a pile of paper and you just set it on fire. Now it's burning up. And once it's burned, like it's not coming back. It's gone forever. So think about that. Think about it in that figurative sense. And so he kind of ends his thought by saying, don't do or don't make the kind of mistakes that get you into such stupid relationships to begin with. Don't delude yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Don't deceive yourself by saying, oh, she really does love me. She's just complicated. He really does love me. He's just this or just that. Don't lie to yourself. Knowing the relationship is bad for you, but staying in it anyway for 3, 5, 7, 10 years, having kids with this person, getting married to this person when you know this is not your person. It's not working. Don't make decisions that will get you into stupid positions in the first place because you don't have that many chances to begin with. You don't have that many chances. And so he says the way you do that is by being honest with yourself. Aim towards the good. Move in the direction of what's truly good for you, for your life, and for a healthy, committed relationship, and eventually a family if that's what you want one day. Don't put up with any nonsense. And another way of saying that is like don't tolerate any nonsense in a relationship. The manipulation, the mind games, the gaslighting, the infidelity, any of that. You don't tolerate any of that shit. You stand up for yourself. You defend your rights, your needs. You advocate for yourself. You respect yourself. You don't tolerate that bullshit. And so if you find yourself in a relationship with someone and they're not trying to do the same thing, they're not trying to make it work, they're not aiming towards what is good, they're mistreating you, they're mishandling you, they're not respecting you, they're not making a real effort in the relationship, then you fucking leave. You save your time instead of wasting it. I believe that's the idea he's conveying here. And I think that this idea of limited chances and limited time is very accurate. You know what I mean? Because like I said before, let's imagine you live to be 80 years old. What's 80 divided by 5? Anybody know? I don't know. I suck at math. Where's my phone? Let's see. Let's do a quick math equation here. 80 divided by 5, 16. So once every 16 years, and we're not counting this, it's really not 80 years because you start dating at what age? I mean, dating seriously, bro. I don't think high school counts. That's not serious dating. I mean, although some people do find the love of their life in high school. So let's just say 18. Let's just say 18 to 80. What is that? 62 years divided by 5 chances. Once every 12 years. You might meet someone that's worth taking seriously, that you might be able to build a life with, start a family with. Once every 12 years, my friend. Now, life isn't a math equation, but still, just for the sake of the example, that's like, what the fuck? And that's from 18 to 80. Imagine meeting the love of your life at 80 and you die at 83. Fucking hey, man, which happens sometimes. Some people get remarried in their 80s and it's like, well, till death do us part. It's like, bro, you're going to be dead next week. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, we don't have as many chances as we think we do, regardless of what Tinder or Instagram tell us. The majority of people are just, we're not compatible with them like we think we are, or they're not worth taking seriously. Let me say it that way. They're not mentally or psychologically or financially prepared for a serious relationship, a committed relationship with another adult. They're just not. So, I mean, the casual thing may be fun, and maybe you're afraid of being alone, and that's why you're constantly in different relationships and shit like that. I know people like that. We're so afraid of being alone that they stay in toxic or shitty relationships just because it's easier or more comfortable psychologically than it is to just be alone with oneself. But I think it's important to consider the cost of a bad relationship, like Jordan was talking about. Like, sometimes you lose things that you just can't replace. 5 years of your life gone, 5 vital years, age 25 to 30, you spent in a shitty relationship that you knew was going nowhere. And we're not just talking about time, bro. We're talking about emotional damage. Maybe this person was toxic and fucked your mind up. They were manipulative. She was a covert narcissist, always playing the victim and got your head all fucked up. Now you're doubting yourself as a man. Or maybe he was a grandiose narcissist and he fucked up your self-esteem and confidence and was gaslighting you and manipulating you and tried to isolate you from your friends and family, and you forgot who you were. And, you know, there's so many things, right? There's so many examples of toxic relationships, infidelity as well. I mean, like, if any of you listening have had the experience of being with a married woman or a married man, or even just a woman or a man that was dating somebody else, like, and knowingly getting involved with somebody who's already taken, that is not my definition of a good relationship. Like, you're involved in this relationship with somebody that you know is with somebody else. That's not a good relationship. That's a bad relationship. So, like, you may think, well, that's not my girlfriend. That's not my wife. I'm just fucking her. Like, we just chilling. That's not my problem. But it's not good for you either, because it also fucks up, like, I'll speak from my experience. Like, it changes the way you view women in general. It fucks with your trust issues. You know what I mean? You're like, shit, this woman is married and she's fucking me while her husband's at work. Why the fuck would I get married to a woman just for her to turn around and do the same thing to me? I'm sure, ladies, it's the same for you. I'm like, you're probably like, damn, this dude already has a girlfriend and he's fucking with me as well. Why would I ever trust a man? I see what they're capable of. I see how common this shit is. You know, and the more you involve yourself with people like that, the more you probably start to think all people are like that. I'll never trust a woman. I'll never trust a man. And so then somebody who's actually trustworthy comes along, but you're so psychologically fucked because of the people you've been fucking with, all the trust issues that you develop. Now you don't trust them, and that ends up fucking up your relationship with somebody who's actually good. That's another cost of a bad relationship: emotional damage, psychological damage. You know what I mean? Just constantly involved in casual relationships, just casual sex or casual dating with multiple people, like not really valuing commitment on any level, like that, those are costs that are intangible. You can't count those things. You can't really put them on paper, can you? But they affect the way that you view and engage in relationships. Every shitty relationship is going to have an effect on your next one. The same way good relationships can have an effect on your next one. It's just, I think it comes down to the kind of relationship that you choose to involve yourself in. And I think that that's probably one of the biggest challenges that we face. And maybe it's always been an issue, but I just find that, speaking specifically about my generation and Gen Z, which is what I'm familiar with, we collectively are not very good at choosing partners. And I don't know if that's because we didn't have good examples of healthy relationships growing up. Maybe we had shitty mothers and fathers, or they were in shitty marriages, or maybe it's both of those things. Maybe for whatever reason, we lost respect for ourselves growing up, or we were taught to value a certain kind of love and affection and a certain kind of relationship that really isn't good on any level. I don't know where it comes from or why it is that way. But I think that we have a very hard time choosing partners that are good for us. And maybe it's because the people who are actually good for us, we view them as boring. They're not exciting. They're not toxic enough. They don't put us on that emotional roller coaster that's so addictive. And they're too predictable. And with my social media, TikTok brain, my Tinder brain, my Instagram brain, I need something more. I need something that's going to make me feel alive, even though it's also killing me. I don't know, man. I just don't think we're good at choosing partners. We often choose people who are very, very bad for us. Even if we know they're bad for us, it's just the most addictive kind of distraction. You know, then I don't have to think about work or my career or my future or family drama. I can just lose myself in this piece of shit person and even have some sex along the way. And that's how I pass my time. Or I don't love or respect or value myself. So I naturally choose people that also don't love, respect, or value me, because that in some way validates my self-image. I see in this person the same thing I see in myself, which is a piece of shit. So when they treat me that way, I'm like, yes, this is what I deserve. This is the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know. I think that in and of itself is a major challenge, bro. Learning how to choose partners that are actually good for you. Because if you don't know how to do that, how are you going to choose healthy relationships over unhealthy ones? If you don't even know what kind of partner that you should be choosing, what would make a good wife? What kind of woman would make a good partner? What qualities does she need to exhibit naturally? What kind of qualities does a good husband or a potential father or mother need to have? And what are the true red flags? When I see something, I know immediately, okay, I need to go ahead and be honest with myself. I need not to delude myself. I need to aim towards the good. I need to leave this person the fuck alone because they're clearly not good for me. Have any of y'all ever had a conversation like that with your parents, your aunts and uncles, your grandparents, your friends, like anybody older than you who has already been there and done that? Have y'all had conversations like this? Because I haven't. Unfortunately, you kind of need to learn through experience, and you need to learn quickly. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in a situation like the one that Jordan's talking about. You know, you get out of this 5-year relationship and you're like, damn, what was all that even for? I didn't even enjoy it. And then you get what they love to talk about on Instagram. I got so much trauma, so much unresolved trauma. You know, it's complicated. I wouldn't even use that word. It's a tough one to figure out because everybody's situation is different. It's not like I can say or make some kind of blanket statement that's going to be true for everybody. It depends on you. Your personality, where you're at in life, the kind of people you deal with. And so to Jordan's point, I think the main point here is just being honest with yourself. Telling the truth to yourself, telling the truth to your partner, not tolerating nonsense, and staying far away from anything that you know isn't serving you. Anyone that you know isn't serving you in the long run. And maybe that's easier said than done. Maybe this is a bunch of cliche bullshit. I don't know. I'm just talking. But even after listening to that clip, some of you may be thinking, yeah, that's an interesting perspective, you know, but I'm still not interested in a committed relationship at all. Like, I'm totally fine with the idea of spending the rest of my life alone or just involved in casual relationships, because that way there's less drama, there's less compromise, and there's more freedom. Why would I ever want the responsibility of maintaining a relationship with someone else, especially in modern times when no one really values that type of thing anyway? And I can totally understand this sentiment. I would even go as far as to say that I feel this way from time to time. But our friend Jordan Peterson has some thoughts on this perspective as well, and wants to challenge us to think about this a bit more deeply. So I'm going to play another clip of him explaining why he thinks that we need to be in some kind of committed relationship. So let's check it out.
I want to be single forever. Do you think that's realistic or fair assessment of oneself?
I think that's, for most people, a pathway to insanity.
Yeah.
You know, the psychoanalysts used to think that, and we all think this way in some ways, that you're sane because you're well put together. Your psyche is well structured, right? It's internal, somehow inside your head. But, and there's some truth in that, but here's a more accurate viewpoint, I think. You outsource most of your sanity because it's too complicated. And so what you do is your parents raise you to be vaguely acceptable to other people. And then you're surrounded by other people your whole life. And then every time you go off the rails a little bit, even just a little bit, people signal to you. Like, you make a joke, it's not that funny, and people don't laugh. And you think, oh, well, you know, I should probably rethink my sense of humor a little bit or pay more attention. Or you tell a rambling story and you notice that everyone's like lost in the distance. And so if you're civilized enough so that people don't shun you and you have people around you, then they're going to be always telling you how to not be too insane. Well, if you're alone, you drift.
Right.
You drift,
Right.
you know, and you'll drift in the direction of your biggest weakness. And so, you know, there are some people, maybe they're introverted and disagreeable. They're not cut out for a lot of social contact. But we're social animals, man, right to the core.
Sure.
And it's a suboptimal solution for the vast majority of people.
All right, my friends. Again, Jordan Peterson now talking about why he thinks that the majority of us need to be involved in some kind of committed relationship, and not even just for the love and affection, the sex, the companionship, but for our own sanity. Which is, to me, it's really interesting to think about that. That point where he says we outsource our sanity to the people around us. Now, to outsource, the definition of the word is to, well, you most commonly hear it in terms of like business. For example, a company may outsource its customer service to a company in a different country. Like, let's use, I don't know, Apple or Samsung or something. You call their customer service line. Apple is an American company, but when you call customer service, you're talking to somebody in Mexico or Pakistan or France or Japan, somebody in a different place working not for Apple, but for a company that provides customer service services. You know what I'm saying, right? Like, they have outsourced that particular part of the business to someone else. They're saying, let's send this to a foreign company or a foreign supplier, and you provide us with that resource. Or like if Apple's making cell phones, they're an American company selling phones in America, but they outsource certain parts of that process to another country, like the cameras and the batteries and the memory cards are fabricated in China and then sent to America. So they're outsourcing those parts. You know, they're sourcing or getting those supplies or services from a different company or country or some other entity. So when you think about that in the terms of a relationship, in the context of a relationship, what he's saying is instead of taking care of your sanity all by yourself, you're leaving that responsibility with other people in your life. You outsource your sanity to other people, your parents, your siblings, your best friends, your girlfriend, your husband, even your children, people in your community. They are also responsible for keeping you sane. So in a way, you're outsourcing your sanity. It's not just you that's responsible for keeping it in order, but everyone around you. That's interesting to think about, bro, because like you said in the beginning of the clip, most of us think we are sane, we are mentally healthy, we are well put together, so to speak. Our psyche is well structured because we have it all together. It's somehow our it's a product of ourselves. I'm sane because I'm mentally strong and I'm well put together. It's like, it's not because of anyone else. I'm sane just because I'm sane. It's because I am a sane person. We can't even really explain why we're sane. And I think that's Jordan's point. You're sane because you're a member of society. You're involved in multiple relationships with many people. As I said, parents, friends, girlfriends, cousins, whoever, teachers, other students, all these people are keeping you in line. All these other people are keeping you in check. Like, as Jordan said, when you're growing up, your parents, their responsibility is to make you vaguely acceptable to other people, which is a very funny choice of words. Make you vaguely acceptable. They should teach you good manners. They should teach you how to play well with others, how to respect others, behave yourself, so that you are somewhat acceptable to the general public, so that you're not immediately outcasted when you're at school, when you're at work, when you go off to university or whatever. You know how to play the social game on some level so that you can at least make some friends, maybe go find you a girlfriend or something like that. And then after that, you think, oh, it's just me that's developing me as a person, but it's everyone around you. It's every experience that you have develops you as a person. Every interaction with the cashier at the local market, or the bus driver, or your boss, or that girl at the bar, or your best friend, or whoever it may be, every interaction is developing who you are as a person. And so if you're not having interactions with other people, what is it that's developing you as a person? I think that's the question, is when you say, I want to spend the rest of my life alone, what's going to happen then? Do you just create this weird feedback loop where you're only interacting with yourself, and those interactions are what develop you as a person? Like, crazy people generally don't know that they're crazy. And we're all crazy, let's be honest. But you're oftentimes unaware of your own insanity. And to Jordan's point, it's other people that let you know, hey, that's fucking crazy, bro. You need to check that shit out. Stop that. Rethink that decision that you're about to make, or you need to fucking put an end to that behavior. It's other people that let you know that. You don't think that's interesting? I don't know. Like the point here, I think that Jordan is trying to make is every relationship is something like a mirror. The people around us help us to self-correct. I probably said in past episodes, a good friend is the one that's going to tell you you're fucking up. A good girlfriend, a good boyfriend is the one that's going to tell you you need to get your shit together. You're tripping right now. They're not just going to let you keep doing this shit that's destroying you and the people around you. A good friend, a good partner, a good brother, a good sister, good parents are there to tell you, like, you need to get your shit together, bro. They help you self-correct. And when it's coming from somebody that you know and love and like and respect, you stop and consider that. And you're like, damn, maybe I am tripping. Maybe I need to get my shit together. It doesn't mean you will. But if you don't have somebody to tell you that, to even let you know that this is a problem, why would you ever stop and say, damn, this is a problem. I need to stop doing this. You know? So the people in our lives help us to grow, essentially, make adjustments. And I think without that, to Jordan's point, he said something very interesting, which is we drift in the direction of our biggest weaknesses. And I can go back to the example of the drug addict. Oftentimes, and not all the time, But oftentimes, a drug addict often starts as someone who was probably a social outcast and didn't really have that many relationships, didn't have many friends, maybe not good relationships with his or her siblings or parents, no family structure, no involvement in his or her community or anything like that, no real hobbies or skills or anything like that, and they just need something to do. So they find all the other social outcasts and rejects who are just doing drugs and just getting high to pass the time and feel some level of pleasure and positivity in life. And that's where they just find their home with these druggies, bro, and just start doing drugs. And then they spend the most of the time alone just looking for more drugs. Nobody's there to tell them, hey, you're going down a very dark path, bro. The only people around them are other people doing drugs. They don't have any good friends or family or anything like that to be like, yo, you need to get your shit together. Like, you're drifting in the wrong direction here, my friend. And so, you know, if you have that kind of brain, that addictive personality, as some people call it, easily addicted to things, and you need some kind of challenge to keep you stimulated, if you know that, or if you're that kind of person, I should say, and you spend all your time alone and you don't have any hobbies or challenges in life, you're just going to naturally drift in that kind of direction. To give you that thing that you're looking for. Some kind of feeling, some kind of meaning, some kind of mission or purpose in life. And unfortunately, that mission or purpose is just getting more drugs. And I'm using drugs as an example, but it could be whatever, bro. It could be whatever. For some people, it's alcohol. For some people, it's porn. For some people, it's another relationship. For some people, it's gambling. It's, I don't know, there's a million things probably. Whatever your biggest weakness is. Maybe it's sloth. Just being lazy and sitting at the crib watching TV, getting fat. For some people, it's food. You sit at home just eating and eating and eating and watching TV, getting fat as fuck. Because you don't have any friends or family to come around and be like, yo, what the fuck is wrong with you, you slob? Get the fuck up and go do something with yourself. You're going to have another piece of cake, another burger. Didn't you just have a whole fucking pizza, all large? Let's go to the fucking gym. Let's go for a walk. Get out of this house. Open the windows. What the fuck is wrong with you? It's depressing. If you don't have anybody to tell you shit like that, it's very easy to just find yourself in that place and stay there for years and years and years. And so one could argue that this idea of independence, I'm a strong, independent individual, I don't need anybody else in my life, I'm good by myself. One could argue that that's a myth. Because it sounds sexy, right? It sounds empowering. I'm strong. I don't need anybody. I'm good on my own. I never had anybody, and I don't need anybody. I'm good. I'm good with me. God damn it. I'm strong enough. These other motherfuckers is weak, fam. They don't got it like I got it. You know what I'm saying? I stand on 10 toes, take care of myself. But, you know, it sounds good. It sounds good. But let's be real, bro. Everybody needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. And I'm not even talking just about romantic relationships. Everybody needs somebody. You need family, whether it's your parents or your siblings, your cousins, aunts and uncles, grandparents, whoever it may be. You need your family. You need some good friends. And I'm not talking like 15 or 20 of them. It could just be 2 or 3. You need good friends. And according to Jordan, you know, you need a girlfriend, you need a boyfriend, because you're not going to date your best friend. You're not going to date, well, you might be in love with your best friend. Check out episode 151. You're not going to date your best friend. You're not going to date your dad. You're not going to date your sister. You're not going. Those are platonic relationships, a different kind of relationship. But the person you build a life with, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, eventually your husband, your wife. Like Jordan is saying, you need that, bro. You need that. For multiple reasons. Again, the fulfillment in terms of love, affection, and companionship and connection, but also just to keep yourself from going crazy. Like, and I've said this before on the podcast, there's a reason And I don't say this like I'm an expert or anything like that. This is just an opinion I've held for a long time. I believe there is a very clear reason that solitary confinement is still viewed as one of the worst kinds of punishment. You go to a prison, the hardest, most dangerous, conflictive inmates are kept alone by themselves. They're not allowed to interact even with other prisoners, other murderers and rapists and you know, they're not even allowed to interact with those people. No, you're gonna sit by yourself in a room the size of my bathroom. No bed, no toys, no TV, no radio, nothing to write on. You're just gonna sit here in this room with a window that's foggy so you can't see outside. It's just to let a little bit of light in, just enough. You never know if it's daytime or nighttime. No contact with anyone. Like that is still viewed as one of the worst forms of punishment. Imagine being locked in a room 23 hours a day, every single day. Most of us can't sit in our house in silence for 60 minutes a day. Most of us can't even do that. After about 30, 40 seconds, man, the mind just starts to wander, bro, and it's thought after thought after thought. Damn, I want to grab my phone. Damn, I gotta put that food away. Damn, my girl called me. I gotta call her back. Damn, I want some sex. I want some food. I gotta go to work. I gotta pay the bills. I gotta wash clothes. You just start thinking about a bunch of shit. That shit that somebody said to you last week that pissed you off, or that fucking idiot driver that cut you off in traffic. Your mind just starts to wander. And you can't take it. You can't just sit there and do nothing. Not even for a few minutes. Imagine being stuck in a room with no stimulation for 23 hours a day. Now imagine that. But for 23 years of your life, no interaction with anyone. What do you think that would do to your brain? You don't think you'd be a bit weird? A bit mentally unstable? You know what I mean? Like, we've all met these people. Even if they're super smart and they're not bad people, they're just weird as fuck because they don't have much social interaction. If you're a socially awkward person, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. You may not spend all your time alone, but social interaction makes you anxious. Therefore, you often avoid it. Therefore, you don't develop social skills, and it's this negative feedback loop. Like, we're not even talking about solitary confinement or the need for a girlfriend or nothing like that. Just the need for social interaction, period. Anybody who's socially anxious knows I need to interact with more people so I can get better at it and therefore feel confident when doing it. But I'm afraid of doing it, therefore I avoid it, and therefore I continue to suck at it. That's another way of viewing this idea. The reason you need relationships, just another reason you need social interaction. And in this case, a romantic, like a committed relationship. Because then it's daily. Somebody who will get to learn who you are every day on a very deep level like no one else, and you'll do the same with them. Someone who you can trust and confide in and go through the ups and downs with, trials and tribulations. Someone who will be honest with you and whom you can be honest with. Because most people aren't going to do that, bro. Most people in your life are not going to be honest with you. Society requires us, or expects us, I should say, expects us to be polite and well-mannered. And doing those things and telling the truth are often incompatible. It's very hard to be polite and tell the truth all the time. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that oftentimes people won't tell you the truth because they want to be polite. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They don't want to be perceived as rude or disrespectful. They don't want to damage the relationship. Maybe you work together, or it's their business and you're a customer, or whatever, man. There's a million reasons that people won't really tell you about yourself. And I think it often boils down to they don't give a fuck about you, bro. You're not their boyfriend. You're not their girlfriend, brother, sister, whatever. And so I think what Jordan is saying is, bro, you need people in your life, particularly a partner, that will tell you those things. You are crazy. You are tripping. That is toxic. That is stupid. That is disrespectful. That is rude. And also the good things. It's not just the bad things, right? Somebody that will also tell you when you're doing things right. So I just think that's interesting, man. The idea that we outsource our sanity to other people. And that one of the reasons that you need to be in a committed relationship is so that it has nothing to do with the other person. It's like self-preservation in a way. For your own sanity, you need to be with somebody that will tell you when you're acting fucking crazy. Otherwise, you're very likely going to go crazy and drift in the direction of your biggest weaknesses. That's just interesting to think about, especially in a time where, like I said, the idea of being independent and staying single forever and not needing anyone is more popular than ever, I would imagine. Just gonna stay single and be casual and worry about myself for the rest of my life. Fuck getting a wife, having kids and all this shit. I'm gonna just do my own thing. I don't need anyone. And after all the failed relationships I've seen, I don't want anyone. Fuck that shit. I'll be fine by myself. Me and my dog and my phone. And Netflix. Me, my cats, and my computer. And fucking YouTube. I'll be fine. So, if after listening to the 3 clips I've played in this episode, you still think that pursuing a committed relationship just isn't worth your time, I would not blame you at all, my friend. I really wouldn't. I mean, when you consider that many men and women have fallen into the trap of modern dating culture, which is just toxic and destructive, and you consider that most of us didn't have any good examples of healthy relationships growing up and therefore have no idea how to choose a partner that's actually good for us, and you consider that many people just don't value things like commitment or loyalty or trust or family, it's understandable that you would say, man, fuck this shit. I'm just going to stay single forever. Fuck it. But I would still challenge you to think about what that really means in the long run. Like, what does life look like when you're 45 years old and single, no kids, only living for yourself? What does life look like when all the milestones you hit, all the most precious and special moments are spent alone? Every birthday, every trip to a different country, every promotion at work, every accomplishment, every night. Every night you lay down and you're just by yourself. Every morning you wake up, you're just by yourself. You haven't created any memories with anyone. Like, that may be cool now, but I mean, like, imagine being 60, 70, 80 years old and your whole life, just you. And maybe that works for you. I don't know. The question is simply, is that really what you want? That's what I'm asking you to think about. If you're one of these people that's saying, you know, fuck this, bro, I'm staying single forever. I'm not dating. I'm not doing anything casual. I'm certainly not getting married and having children. I'm just asking you to think, just to imagine, what does life look like then? Because oftentimes, you and your friends may have that idea now, but a lot of people, like I said, we go from stage to stage in life, and the things we value and desire end up changing. And one by one, your friends who have been single for so long and say, yeah, man, fuck these bitches, fuck these niggas, we're just gonna do our own thing, blah, blah, blah. They start to get girlfriends and boyfriends and husbands and wives, and they start having children. Now you're in your mid-40s, all your friends have wives and children. You're the only one that's still single, and your friends can't hang out like they used to. They're at home with their wives and kids. They're going on family trips and shit. And they might invite you over for the barbecue on the weekends, the kids' party or whatever, 4th of July, you know, shit like that. But you're playing for different teams now. You know, their wives don't want them hanging out with you because you're still single and casually fucking bitches on the weekend. They don't want you to have a negative influence on their husband. So, sorry, man, I can't kick it with you like I used to. I got a wife and kids to think about. Same thing for the ladies. Same shit. You know? Because oftentimes, you might have heard this before, like, single people keep people single. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times you might have you might have a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and you have that one friend who's single and miserable and is constantly talking shit about your relationship, which could start to have an effect on your mind, and you start viewing your relationship the way they do. And then you end up single because of your miserable single friend. And now you can both be miserable and single together. If I can't be happy, neither can you. Motherfucker, we friends. Ain't we in this together, nigga? You know? So anyway, what I'm saying is what I'm saying is it's just something to think about, bro. What does that look like in the long run? I refuse to get involved in a relationship with anyone. I'm going to stay single forever and spend the rest of my life alone. Is that really what you want? No family, no children, no intimate relationships, no commitment, no sacrifice. Or is it possible that deep down, you really do want those things, but you're just scared shitless of all the risks that come with pursuing them?